Let's take a trip back to the good old days, when catalogs were wish lists, the TV signed off with the national anthem, and Grandma's couch was covered in sticky plastic. In this video, we'll revisit plenty of familiar moments that are sure to spark cherished memories. So sit back, get comfortable, and enjoy the journey. Back then, the family car wasn't just transportation, it was a rolling playground. Those big old station wagons could hold a whole pack of us, and not one of us wore a seatbelt. Riding in the way back, whether in a wagon or a pickup, felt like a rite of passage. We played games, watched the cars behind us, and every now and then made goofy faces at the drivers. Sometimes we'd just look out the window as if watching a captivating movie. No air conditioning, no gadgets, just the windows down, wind in our hair, and the freedom of the open road.
When do you see what I'm getting, Jack? You mean I can get all these things with S&H green stamps? Housewares!
Remember trading stamps? We loved sticking them into those booklets, and filling each page felt like a step towards something significant. Green stamps and blue chip were the big ones, handed out at grocery stores, gas stations, and even department stores. And somehow, families ended up trading them in for everything from kitchen gadgets to patio furniture. Honestly, I still don't understand how that business model worked. If you've still got something at home that came from trading stamps, let me know in the comments.
S&H green stamps, they make your money do more.
Back in the day, TV stations didn't run all night like they do now. Around 10 p.m., they'd sign off for the night, often with the test pattern flickering on the screen. Before going off air, they'd play the national anthem. It was like a quiet moment, signaling the end of the day. And of course, there was that iconic phrase,
"It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?"
reminding parents to check in on their kids. Those little traditions made bedtime feel like a ritual, something we don't see on TV anymore. Catalogs used to be a huge part of the season. You'd get them in the mail and spend hours flipping through pages full of toys, clothes, and all kinds of treasures. But the Christmas catalogs, like Sears and Penney, were something special. We would circle our favorite toys, dreaming about what might show up under the tree. It was more than just shopping. It was a holiday tradition that built the excitement long before Christmas morning. Watching a movie at home used to be an event. You had to switch the TV to channel 3, pop in a VHS tape, and hope whoever rented it before you remembered to rewind. We didn't all own VCRs at first. Some folks actually rented them along with the movies. Video rental stores were a Friday night tradition, with rows of tapes and that distinct plastic smell. And nothing beat the excitement of bringing home a stack of movies for the weekend. Car keys used to be much simpler than today's all-in-one gadgets. We had 2 separate keys, one round for the doors and one square for the ignition. You always had to fumble for the right one, especially in the dark. And without key fob buttons, you actually had to physically approach the car to unlock it. Losing one key didn't mean replacing a complex computer chip, just getting a simple copy made at the hardware store. It was a less high-tech experience, relying more on our hands. Summer days meant endless hours on our bikes, riding until the streetlights flickered on. That was the signal it was time to head home. No helmets, no phones, just the freedom of the neighborhood and the sun on our faces. We'd race, explore, and sometimes just cruise, soaking in every minute before dinner called us back inside. Those were the days when a bike was more than just transportation. It was our ticket to adventure. Remember the days before smartphones, when every home had a big, heavy phone book? The yellow pages helped you find local businesses like diners or plumbers, while the white pages listed people's phone numbers. Most of us kept important numbers written on paper right by the phone or just memorized them. Some folks even paid extra to keep their names out of the book. It's hard to imagine now, but those thick books were once an essential part of everyday life. The distinct feel of plastic furniture covers is a memory many of us share. They were often found in Grandma's house, intended to keep sofas and chairs looking new. On hot days, they'd stick right to your legs, and in the cold, they'd crackle and pop with every move you made. Sitting on one was its own little adventure, with that weird mix of sticky and crunchy sounds. You couldn't help but notice them. They were just part of the furniture back then. Little golden books were a big part of childhood for many of us. Sometimes our parents would read us these stories before bed, making those moments extra special. Every trip to the store was the same. "Can I get a book, Mom? Please?" One of my favorites was the story of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. These books weren't just stories. They were little windows into magical worlds that stayed with us long after the pages were closed.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Saturday morning cartoons came with the brightest, most tempting commercials aimed right at kids. These ads were a whirlwind of colorful toys and snacks that made every kid's mouth water. Here's an interesting fact. Those short commercial breaks were actually designed to help kids tell the difference between the show and the ads. Believe it or not, back then, people really cared about that kind of thing. Still, most of us were just annoyed, wishing we could watch our cartoons without interruption. For many kids, G.I. Joe wasn't just a toy, it was a daily adventure. These action figures played a huge role in childhood, sparking endless hours of imaginative play. With countless sets and vehicles, kids staged epic battles and daring missions right on the living room floor. G.I. Joe truly fueled imagination, making every playtime feel like a big, exciting story. It was more than just a toy line, it was a whole world that captured our attention. Metal lunchboxes, decorated with characters from our favorite shows, were a real icon of school days and lunch breaks. Whether it was Star Wars or Ghostbusters on the outside, these lunchboxes were more than just containers. They were a statement. Carrying one made you feel ready for whatever the school day might bring. For many of us, that favorite metal lunchbox wasn't just practical. It was a little treasure, a daily dose of pop culture to carry along. So, do you remember your lunchbox? Before computers, typing class was a rite of passage for many in school. Learning on those loud, clackety typewriters was a real challenge. We'd focus intently, trying to hit the right keys without looking down, often listening to the rhythmic clatter and the satisfying ding of the carriage return. It felt less like a skill for office work and more like mastering a musical instrument. Little did we know, that very foundation would smoothly transition to the computer keyboards we use every day. Before the internet, finding movie showtimes took a bit more effort. You'd either check the newspaper's movie section or call the theater's phone number and listen to a recorded message listing the times. It was a small ritual, waiting to hear that familiar voice before planning a night out. Going to the movies felt like a special event. Popcorn, the big screen, and sharing that excitement with friends or family. Gas station visits were a different experience back then. Many were full-service affairs. An attendant would come out, fill your tank, check your oil and fluids, and even wash your windshield. It was a small luxury that made every stop feel a bit special. Those visits weren't just about fuel, they were a chance to stretch your legs, chat for a moment, and feel looked after. It's hard to imagine now, but those moments added a personal touch to every road trip and daily drive alike. In classrooms back then, the flicker and hum of the film projector was part of the daily routine. Teachers had to manually thread the film and get everything just right, while that familiar clicking sound filled the room, something every student knew well. Usually, a volunteer was called on to advance the film by turning the reel, which sometimes made for some entertaining moments. At least for me, it was always fun when the volunteer messed up and the film got stuck or skipped. Those little interruptions somehow made the whole experience even more memorable. Macramé was everywhere. Plant hangers, wall pieces, even curtain-like dividers, all made with endless knots and patience. And somehow, there always seemed to be an owl worked into the pattern, watching from its spot on the wall. It was just part of the decor back then, something you'd see in nearly every living room or hallway. If you enjoyed this trip down memory lane, please subscribe so you won't miss future videos. I'd love to hear your memories. Drop a comment below sharing what moments stand out most to you.